Alright, hello, give me just a moment to test the audio here. Alright, hello, give me just a moment to test the audio here. Okay. Just a moment, folks. We're going to try to raise the game audio just a little for you. There we go. And yeah, you're going to be hearing some sound back here. Waiting to see if we can get any audio from the dealer here to make sure that I have neither my own audio too loud or the game's too quiet, which has been a frequent issue for me. Alright, so, haven't quite got a beat on the audio yet, but as always, it's going to be kind of a work in progress. So, let's just go ahead and get into this evening's festivities then. So, welcome everybody back to another live stream from the Overanalyst channel. I'm Brady, your host for the evening. It's been quite some time since I've been with y'all, around a year. Damn. As I've explained in, those live streams from what feel like ages ago now, the Sekiro live streams, I, was beginning grad school in the fall, and also finally now, going through the process of moving out of the family home to, my own, which was incredibly time-consuming. And those two things together just kind of dominated my resources over the past, little while. But now that, nobody's going anywhere at all for the foreseeable future, and the summer is upon us, I have the opportunity now to properly start streaming again, hopefully now with a regular schedule. My sincere wish is that by August, even when school and work and all that starts back up for me, of course I work at a university, I'll be able to stream regularly at least 2 to 3 times a week for a couple hours a day. Also gonna try to figure out how in the hell I get a capture card to work properly so I can stream from systems other than the PS4. But, yes, I am back. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us again. and putting up with my perpetual long-term absences. I've got something of a treat in store for y'all today. Wanted to start back with something relatively easy, relatively fun, that we could just have a really chill time with. And one of the first things that came to mind for me was this lovely little game, Hand of Fate, an indie title released in 2015 on just about every platform under the sun, that has a really interesting premise for its core gameplay loop that we're going to get into in just a bit. First off, I do want to say, the first time I ever played this, I'm not even sure if it was on this console, it may have been on the PC, but I did almost beat it. I got within, like, probably a couple hours of the game's conclusion. I made it to the final sort of story chapter. So I do know a lot of what we're in for, though not everything. And I have played on this file just a little bit to make sure I recall how. But the thing about Hand of Fate, guys, is it's extremely contingent upon unlocks and the player making progress, triggering flags to, gain access to certain things over the course of the game. So, for us to get the best experience of this game together, what we're going to do is reset our progress through the title. So what this is going to do is set us back to a state, basically tabula rasa, as if we'd never played the game before, and we're going to get to experience the whole thing from the very beginning together, me and all of you. This is, it's just a hell of a game. It's got a really simple but compelling conceit, and I think you're really, really gonna like it. Now, of course, friends, any of you watching this VOD on YouTube.com at the Overanalyst channel, or anybody here live in chat this evening, if the audio is off at any point through the evening, please tell me. Reason why I say that is because our partner in this game, the dealer, who is going to be speaking to us more or less constantly, is voiced by a gentleman who turned in just a phenomenal performance, and I really want you guys to be able to enjoy his presence, which is one of the game's highest points. Alright, let's do this. In 3, 2, 1. And there we are. So, let's begin uncovering the interesting little world of Hand of Fate. Love the design and art of these cards.
And you come to my table to play the game of life and death. Your stake is wagered. I refuse none who come here. Yet, I say, turn back.
So, and I'm also going to make sure subtitles are on, so you can get the dealer's dialogue no matter what. So as we can see right off the bat, there's obviously a lot of supernatural elements in this game, which I really like. You've got these classic, like, medieval-looking playing cards that serve as the core of our gameplay, and we have the dealer, who, while not really a villain in the traditional sense, is going to be the central antagonist of the game, as we've come to this table to play for, it's hinted to be some kind of wish or supernatural ability, and in order to obtain it, we're going to have to play against him in this game and win. So, let's start the game.
The game begins. One lives and one dies. Let us see what you're made of.
Alright. So we have this small stack of cards, and we are presented...
member of my court, the Jack of Dust. 12 in all must fall before you may challenge me.
And he does a fantastic job of explaining this. The game is divided into a number around a dozen different chapters, at the end of which we will have to face a member of the dealer's court. Enemy cards in this game, so like the various hostiles we'll encounter, are largely divided into 4 different suits. And each suit has a jack, queen, and king, just as with standard Western-style playing cards. And these face cards represent bosses. So in this case, we begin with the first of the dealer's 12 champions, the Jack of Dust. Let's read this quickly. The bandit leader is stronger and faster than most bandits encountered. He can become enraged, making powerful, unblockable attacks. He also inspires his followers to steal gold on each hit. That's an explanation of the boss's mechanics, and then we have some flavor here. In the ruins of an ancient temple, among the eternally shifting sand dunes, lives the mysterious leader of the desert bandits. Infamous for his reign of terror.
And remove cards from your deck, but feel free to familiarize yourself first.
Thank you. Infamous for his reign of terror over any spice caravans that dare take their chances traveling through his domain, he rules as a king over the barren lands. So we're starting this out going up against a very simple, like, robber baron. Easy enough. Now the game begins in earnest.
Let the cards fall where they may. We begin.
Okay, folks, so now we get into the proper gameplay of Hand of Fate, and the dealer's no doubt going to keep talking as I explain this, so sorry, you can just read his dialogue for now, I guess. It is a hybrid, kind of like roguelike or roguelite exploration sort of action RPG game, with very simple combat reminiscent of the Batman Arkham series, you know, that kind of rhythmic strike, dodge, counter, very basic but really weighty style combat system, and a series of encounters that may have absolutely nothing to do with combat. They may be little text adventures or games of chance or things that modify our character in certain ways, like giving them more health or making them faster or giving them certain pieces of equipment or resources, things like that. I'll explain more as we move into the game and actually see some of this in action, but all you need to know right now is in the lower left-hand corner.
I've waited long enough.
No need to be so catty, sir. In the lower left-hand corner, you can see the 3 key resources we're going to have to manage throughout the game. Our health, self-explanatory. Food, one of which will be consumed for every new card we move on to. Or I should say every card we move on to. Sometimes we'll have to move back onto previously uncovered cards. And we will accrue certain penalties for moving while our food is completely depleted. And lastly, gold, which we use to buy various services, items, or trade for other resources. So, let's go ahead and turn over the first card. And it's the Maiden.
I'm not surprised to find that this encounter remains vivid in your memories.
One day in a shady forest, you encounter an elf maiden. She stops to greet you. I am Marith of the Forest Folk. My people have long helped the mortals of this realm. What boon would you ask of me? So she's just going to give us more of one of our 3 essential supplies. Now, I'm pretty confident with the combat in this game, so we don't need more health. Food, I think we got enough food. Let's ask for a little bit of gold. It is unlike an adventurer to beg for coin, but very well, if that is your wish. And we get to draw 3 gold gain cards. So we get a certain amount of cards, not a certain amount of gold, and depending on the cards the dealer draws, we will receive a certain stipend for this. Food works in much the same way. 20, that's really good. 30, wow. And 25, okay, that's way more gold than we're going to need in this mission. The greatest of magical artifacts were forged long ago and have only limited uses before their power is spent. Use them wisely, and they may guide you to victory. Farewell, mortal. So, if you didn't catch it in the dealer's flavor text, it's implied all of these different cards are made from the memories of the person, or maybe the people, that we were before coming to the table. Ah, the Twisted Canyon.
First moment, that glinting weapon, the call to action, to adventure. Truly, there is nothing like it.
Seriously, the voice actor for the dealer did an absolutely phenomenal job, and he has unique dialogue for, I think, just about every single new card we're going to find, out of, I think, a few hundred in the game. You see a weapon glinting in the sunlight, lying next to a skeleton at the bottom of the canyon. The walls of the canyon are covered in thick vines, perfect for climbing. Well, now, obviously, we're going to climb down and try to grab it, and this is going to introduce us to the second major mechanic of the game. Games of chance.
Choose from these options.
So, there's a lot of little events like this in the game, where we will have to pick one of 4 cards, displaying either a failure, massive failure, success, or significant success, and that'll determine the outcome we ultimately receive. It's not completely random, as you're able to use the depth of the cards, relative depth of the cards, as they get shuffled into and out of the central stack to determine which is which. Now, I don't think this is the failure card, but let's see. And it is. Great. So we lose a little bit of health, no big deal.
Oh dear.
But we do get the weapon, so that's something. It's a sword, which is an improvement on the rusty axe we currently begin with. Aces. So we get to keep both weapons, but obviously we want to equip the superior one for the time being.
That will make me much more effective.
Ah, we found the stairs.
Once more,
Now,
seeking the heart of it all.
in most chapters, stairs will lead us to a new floor or a new configuration of random cards, but right now we want to discover that last one.
I'm
And
never a fan of illusion or pretense. Here, I'll make an exception.
it's another one of my favorites. It's Mr. Lionel. Whilst enjoying your evening meal at the local tavern, a strange old man takes the seat next to yours. He taps your shoulder quite painfully with his wooden staff to get your attention, and you notice that he appears to be a goblin, poorly disguised as a human. His wizened face grins at you with a hint of madness. My name is Mr. Lionel. If you give me what I need, boy, I will conjure up your heart's desire with this wizarding wand of my own creation. He cackles uncontrollably for a few moments, then sits patiently waiting for your answer. So I'm going to go ahead and give him our food for now. Let's see, and we get a shield. Brilliant. This will allow us to block certain attacks as opposed to dodging them, and also deflect them. Oh, hello, message in chat. Give Mr. Lionel a purple nurple. Not an option, unfortunately. I think we could, like, just throw him out of the tavern or something, but...
Your shield. Make good use of this skill if you wish to survive.
And he steals a little bit more food, because of course he does. So Mr. Lionel is a character we're going to run into several times, I think, throughout the course of the game, and he's always helpful in a really mundane way, like giving us an unremarkable item.
You are on the final floor of our simple map. Your opponent waits here for you. Find him. If you defeat me, well, it is early to be talking about victories and losses. Let us see what you're made of.
So, at this point, I believe the Dead Man's Gorge is our first combat encounter. While crossing the ancient rope bridges of Dead Man's Gorge, you hear sounds of movement from below. It's an ambush. So we'll draw our first enemy card for the game. This is a 2 of Dust. The Dust suit represents common bandits and marauders. There's absolutely nothing special to them at all. They're basically just punching bags for us. So, without getting thoroughly humiliated, I'm going to try to take them down. And if you're familiar whatsoever, again, with the Batman Arkham series, you'll see this is more or less the same exact combat system, which is fine. It's perfectly serviceable. And this is one of the only times in the game where outright skill totally overpowers random chance or savvy for, like, role-playing or tabletop role-playing games. Well, that was just kind of sad, guys. Okay, now this is one of the reasons why in Hand of Fate we want to prioritize combat whenever we can. Seriously, if there's a chance without suffering a failure on a game of chance, I can get into a fight with somebody in this game, I'm absolutely gonna go for it. Because just about every time you win one of those relatively straightforward encounters, you get to draw up a fair amount of loot. In this case, some equipment. A helmet that'll give us double healing. Great.
All you need is a channel for power, and it's simple enough.
Food that we don't need, because we're nearly at the base of this particular dungeon. And an axe that,
but effective nonetheless.
Slightly superior to the sword, so I guess rust alone hit that axe for 5 points of damage. Huh. A message from the chat. That was just kind of sad, guys. God, 2020. Yeah, it's certainly feeling that way. Look, we're trying so hard. Okay, so here we find a shop. There's a number of these, of different types. All of them will trade various goods and services for gold, obviously. As well as, I think, food. I believe every type of shop sells food. This one specializes in spells and a couple different types of artifacts.
We're starting to get into the meat of the game now. The back and forth between resources and rewards.
Right, and to the dealer's point, since we can always buy food at a shop, and in some chapters food is going to run exceptionally scarce, and since we can also buy healing at more types of store than we cannot, usually the question we have to ask when we come to a store of any type is, am I so secure in my current amounts of both food and health that there is something available I absolutely cannot wait for? Combat encounters and, like, random games of chance, the text adventure segments, they all have a very good chance of giving you some pretty advanced loot. So, unless we see something we're just dying for, it's usually best to pass in the short term. Like here, we have 4 different options, and let's see what they are. Okay, so bracers that will allow every strike we land on an opponent to slow them and I believe lower their defense for only 33 gold dollars, I presume. So that's something. A spell that'll allow us to shoot out like a compass row's worth of throwing knives. I've used this before, it's not super useful. A helmet that would replace our healing helmet and give us just a couple additional loot cards. Only got a couple more encounters, so that's not worth it. And a special helm that will allow lizards, spoilers, the last major faction of enemies we're going to encounter, to take double damage. Well, there's no lizards here, so... You know, since we've got 85 gold... I'm sorry, I'm not getting over the dollar sign next to the values. Since we've got 85 gold dollars and there's only one more encounter before the boss, I feel pretty confident in buying the Hag's Wraps. Let's go for it.
It's not enough that you kill them, you'll curse them too.
Well, of course. I'm playing this game because I'm a good gambler, not because I'm a good person. Alright, semi-final encounter, the Winding Trail.
Ambush. Hardly fair, is it?
It's just one more combat encounter, this time against a 3 of dust. Okay, so they want me to surrender all of my gold, which, I mean, I could do. Or, I could fight another batch of those bandits that didn't land a single hit on me last time, with improved cursing grip action, and take all of their gold. It's a really tough decision, but I think I'm gonna have to kick some ass. This game actually received a sequel a couple years later, and it expanded all of the gameplay systems dramatically. I hope to stream that some days soon as well. I think it's really cool, too, that as our avatar loads into the arena, you get to see each of the pieces of gear we have equipped kind of materialize one by one. Alright, one of the other cool things about having a shield is you can press the circle button to stun enemies. Oh, that one actually got me. Impressively done. You know, for a very small indie team project, it honestly doesn't look half bad. They went with kind of a distinctive art style, and it looks pretty well. Am I going to have a regular streaming schedule? Oh, golly gosh, I hope so. I'm going to try to get something worked out in the next couple of days, but I would love to stream for the moment, since everybody is otherwise indisposed, every day from about maybe, 6 or 6:30 to 10 or 10:30 p.m.? Or maybe even do like a short stream very early in the afternoon and a long one at night. Who knows? This is fun for me, and I certainly need to shake the rust off, so... Ooh!
To navigation, but still.
The Explorer's Helmet reveals stairs, so the stairs every time we enter a new level, and grants gold every time we clear an entire level. I'm gonna go ahead and equip it now, not that it's gonna do us any good here, but it looks cool, and I want to fight a boss looking cool. I am exceptionally vain.
A little extra health, but it is only a momentary respite.
So yes, to your question, Mr. Fiddlescruffs, I will hopefully be streaming from around 6 to 10 at least the next couple days. And I'll try to post a regular schedule somewhere on the channel within the next few days as I get all of my kit properly set up. And already, guys, we are at the end of the first chapter, just this quick little tutorial quest, so it's time to face the Jack of Dust, the robber baron.
You have reached my first champion. A good man, driven to madness by a war that took all from him. Wife and child, kith and kin. From such dark and brittle iron, I forge my tools. Now we see your metal.
So, as you can see, the dealer is quite fond of mocking us and chiding us, constantly exhorting us to perform better in the game, but he's not really antagonistic. He is much better at this game than we are, and plays from a position of power, but isn't necessarily playing for the same stakes that we are. He's going to be quite amicable, for now at least. Now, if you'll notice too, this card has a little token at the base, and that token, friends, is the key to Hand of Fate's gameplay loop, and I'll show you why just as soon as we defeat the Jack of Dust and his men. This should be a pretty simple fight. Oh, well, there you go. So, in addition to the token on the card, he's revealed 3 additional tokens, each of which contains additional cards. So the more cards you clear, defined differently for each type of encounter, of course, the more cards you might run into in future, constantly expanding the gameplay, the opportunities for storytelling and for gameplay. So the Jack fights, I believe, with a couple bandits? 2 or 3, maybe? 4. Yeah. And I believe, aside from the unblockable attack they mentioned earlier, he is just like a standard bandit. He might get a hit or 2 in, but he's honestly not that threatening. Ooh, I love the little explorer's helm.
Some enemy attacks cannot be blocked or countered. Get out of the way or stop them with your own counter.
Oh, we knocked him over. As you can see, I kind of prefer dodge rolling all over the place to blocking, just because, yeah, you could counter a blow, or you could just be nowhere near it. The red danger indicator over the Jack's head is demonstrative of the unblockable attack. Standard attacks that can be blocked or deflected have a green danger indicator, and that was it. Okay, been a while since I played this game, a little over a year, but not too shabby. With that, we have conquered the first of the dealer's 12 champions and sealed him back into the court's cabinet.
One champion has been sent to the cabinet. Yet we are only at the start of our road. You will face 11 more opponents who will test your strength, your memories, and your resolve. Few fall at the first hurdle. None reach the last. We have wagered, and you have won. You may claim your rewards, yet I will also claim mine. As you improve, so do I. Balance must be retained.
Oh, and that's one of the things that's so cool about this game. I can't wait to explain this to you guys. Give me just a minute and we'll dive right in. So, as a reward for defeating the Bandit Jack, we receive a bunch of encounters. The Jack of Skulls, the next champion we have to defeat. The Dead King's Hall. A local peasant. The Devil's Choice. Just some random-ass river. And the Captain of the Guards. As further rewards, we receive some medium armor, Chains of Rage, a mercenary contract, which is a spell, I believe, another medium armor card, a special shield called Fortitude's Breath, and a mace called the Desperate Measures. One last set of rewards. The Bandit attack, well, it's not really a reward, but it is a combat encounter card.
Shall we deal again?
And so what's really cool is as you progress through the game and unlock more and more and more cards, they will be added into this little nexus that the dealer conjures up in between rounds. So by the end of the game, we're going to have him almost completely obscured by this whirlwind of cards.
Ah, good. Now you understand the basics, we can begin in earnest. Your hero is returned to his beginning items. Our decks are reset. Welcome to the cabinet, home of the members of my court.
Just so I know, guys, does the audio seem to be fairly balanced? I'm not just drowning out the game audio, and nor is the reverse true. We are now at the main menu, and that whole thing was just kind of an introduction. It was an extremely stripped-down version of what the game has to offer. Audio balance is both sexy and so good it hurts. That's more crisp than a wheat thin. Oh, that's lovely. That is lovely. Thank you. I've been trying for, a combined total of months over the past couple of years to get audio balance down, and knowing that I have not only gotten to sufficient, but seductive is really, really good news. So we're going to go over to story mode here, which takes us to this tricked-out cabinet where the dealer's champions are kept. And this time we're going to be facing the champion we just unlocked, the Jack of Skulls. And, guys, here's where we get into the meat of the game. See, those cards are special in that every single game, the types of cards that will be available to you, ranging from equipment to encounters, enemies to certain magic and other stat modifiers, are determined by a pair of decks, yours and the dealer's. And as he said at the end of the last chapter, with every victory, or with every token we unlock by progressing through the game, certain elements, so certain cards, will be added to a deck that we get to construct, and certain elements will be added to the dealer's deck. Meaning, as we get more and more options with which to tackle the challenges the game lays out for us, he gets more options with which to construct these little challenge maps for us. Now, in the case of the Jack of Skulls, we can see right off the bat the special abilities, or I believe the special cards that will invariably come along with it. So in addition to the Jack card, if we take on this challenge, the dealer's deck will include 3 random supply cards, and 3 cards containing a 2 of skulls. If you couldn't tell from the imagery or the name, the skulls suit represents the undead, and there's not really that much special about them individually, save one mechanic we'll see very early on. Really quickly, going to read our lore. Serving as captains to squads of lesser skeletons, these unholy abominations strike fear into the hearts of all warm-blooded folk. For until this fiend is defeated, their legions are effectively endless. What this translates to in-game is that during the fight with the Jack of Skulls, it's constantly going to reanimate its skeletal cohort. Not too much of a challenge. In fact, if I recall, the Jack of Skulls goes down even easier than the Jack of Dust. So,
time for you to face my undead army. Meet the Jack of Skulls.
hopefully I'm not going to humiliate myself. It's time to show you guys one of my favorite features, the deck builder. This is where we get to construct our own combination of cards that we're going to take into the challenge. Now, the way I like to do this is I make use of this feature. The game will construct decks of recommended or well-balanced equipment and encounters, with a preference towards those cards that contain those little tokens that, you know, if you meet certain criteria, will allow you to unlock more cards. Then I go in and dig around, make changes here and there. Now, as you can see there, our current deck is, or our current fate is the Adventure, or default mode. This provides the standard gaming experience with no special modifications to rules or decks. Now, this is because, as I believe largely free DLC in the years after the game's release, the developers added in an insane number of alternative fates, or basically character classes, that change the equipment and stats you start the game with, the types of cards you can encounter in the game, and even included personal quest lines for many of them. Just to give you an idea, yeah, the wild card update. We've got an easy mode, we've got a hard mode, and then we've got all of these kind of specialized decks. A lot of them. Like, a lot of them. And we're just going to be playing through on Adventure this time around. I could come back for some of the others later if you guys really like this game. Mr. Fiddlescruff says, if you do easy mode, you'll a coward, in reference to the patron saint of internet crap rap, Viper the Rapper. Yeah, no, I'll is not coward. So I'm just going to rock this out in default mode. So right now we've actually got every encounter in the game available, save the Dead Man's Gorge, and I'm looking at what we've got here, and yeah, that looks pretty good. Oh, yeah, any card that is marked with a lock at the uppermost edge is sealed into the corresponding deck until we manage to complete it successfully. In other words, we get a favorable resolution. If it's a game of chance, that means usually you win the game of chance. If it's a combat encounter, you defeat the enemies, etc. Our equipment deck seems to prioritize kind of off-the-wall, unusual stuff, so not just random axes and shields. I like that. I like that a lot. I really want to get this thing, the Fortitude's Breath. Again, not because it bestows great gameplay boosts, which it does, but because it just looks really cool and I'm exceptionally vain. With that, let's begin our first proper round of Hand of Fate versus the Jack of Skulls.
New content awaits you. It will be awarded when you complete your run. I will add my own cards to the deck. How boring life would be without a little spice.
Notice that the dealer's dialogue did not match up with his subtitles whatsoever there.
Play for life and death. Prepare yourself.
Always prepared, sir. So this is going to be a new card, and it is the Captain of the Guards.
I always thought it was best to avoid the problems of others. I see you have no such concerns.
You hear a shout from up ahead and the sounds of battle. Racing forwards, you discover a warrior surrounded by undead, meaning it's time to fight some skulls. "Stranger!" he calls out as he throws his weapon to you. "Here, take my mace and put an end to these monstrosities." Oh yeah.
It's a lump of iron on a stick. Not terribly subtle.
Guys, I just love the dealer's dialogue so much. Yeah, so we get the mace right off the bat, and I'm pretty sure this is a fixed encounter the first time you play this particular chapter, because the mace is a holy weapon that will deal considerably more damage to and prevent resurrection of undead enemies. Do we need it? Not really, but it's a marked improvement over the rusty axe, and it looks really cool. Again, a lump of iron on a stick, that's badass. And our friends, the skulls, are going to be exceptionally fragile, bearing in mind that we have this weapon. It's a very large mace. So they operate just like the bandits do. Oh, I did not get an attack indicator. That's a little weird, but not that it matters. We absolutely shattered them effortlessly. I could be wrong in saying this, but the skulls in particular become more dangerous as the game progresses because they're going to have more and more support units around that do things like reanimate them, bolster their health and defense, create more of them. Good work putting them to rest. Keep the mace. We have enough back at Kader, he says, slowly standing. We've been hearing reports of undead in our kingdom recently, and I came to investigate. He stops to look around at all the bone fragments. More of them here than I suspected. Some new horror must have decided to settle in these parts and brought its minions. I must head back to the capital and report this to the Duke. Watch your step, friend. There's something more powerful at work than just these skeletons. This card's token is now yours.
Well done.
And he'll throw it in this little dish with the rest of our tokens. Lovely. The river.
Running water protects against many things in myth. Generally, though, it's just a pain to get past.
Our path is blocked by a river. The water is clear but fast flowing. This is going to be a game of chance, and my luck hadn't been great tonight, so we're going to see how we do. Huge success. There we go. Your light armor makes the crossing easy, and you even stop to dive for some shiny stones on the riverbed that may fetch a few coins. The dealer draws me 1 gold gain card. 15 gold. We'll take it. Not bad. I know, I'm... Chat, I'm amazed too. I actually managed to do this properly for once. I know it was a 1 in 4 chance of getting it wrong, but that has not stopped me before. Speak of the devil.
In every game, that initial moment where things begin. I have worked on these cards all my days, and the canyon has been there from the outset.
Let's see if we can replicate our success. Good. So this time we will retrieve the weapon painlessly. Obviously, we're not going to replace our mace with it, but if we stop at a store, it may fetch us a fair few coins.
Deeper towards our foe. Many have reached this far. Further, in fact. I do not know if you have what it takes to do better than they did. So, as we can see, the dealer is... Again, aside from being kind of arrogant and condescending, not all that antagonistic, but as we get closer and closer to winning his game, that's going to change really quickly. Given how rarely one encounters the folk, you are fortunate indeed to meet Merith again. So it's the same encounter from before? Cycling around the wheel and dipping into the same memories time and time again. I think we're going to ask for gold one more time because this should be a shorter chapter as well. 3 gold gain cards once again. A 15. 20.
And 25. Brilliant. That should be more than enough to allow us to afford something worthwhile. Question from chat. Do I agree that corn dogs are just bone-in hot dogs? Yes, basically. With an artificial bone. So maybe, like, post some kind of joint replacement bone-in. Yeah, there's, like, some artificial skeletal structure there. But yeah, basically a bone-in hot dog. That sounds about right. Also, I kind of want a corn dog now. Great. Alright. Oh, it's a shop. This one's more of a general store. So we're going to pop in here really just to pawn off that sword. But we'll see if there's anything I really, really want. And I think the reason why I didn't see an attack indicator when I went up against the two of skulls was that I don't have a shield. You need a shield to counter effectively, I think. This is worth 4 gold dollars. Yeah, you know what? It's not like it's going to get any use in this chapter. Now let's see what we can afford. The Chains of Rage, which appears to be our standard armor, just with really unconvincing 90s anti-hero comic book, like chains and leather slapped all over it. Strikes sustained from bows and wands have a chance to reduce my cooldown. Not really worth it. A shield for 7 gold. Might be worth it if there's nothing else here. An axe we don't need. And the big shield. Oh, guys, this is it. Check this out. So every third encounter consumes no food. And I believe this shield is a bit stronger when it comes to bashing and stunning enemies, like it stuns for slightly longer. I could be wrong about that. It kind of looks like what a grade schooler would design if they were told they had to create a great shield for like a school play. And I'm all about that. Let's blow 30 gold dollars on that.
Not the sprint.
Okay, so a little bit of general context for anybody watching this video on demand over on YouTube. In graduate school, my specialty is ethnohistory, so like the historical study of generally colonized or well, colonized would be the best term, but broadly, like non-Western peoples. And somebody says, what would you say are the implications of Hand of Fate for indigenous epistemologies? For once, there is actually not a good answer here. Not yet, anyway. Maybe when we reach some of the DLC quest lines that deal with, like, outlying realms and other countries, I think 1 or 2 of them do, there will be something there. But right now, there's not a whole lot to this one, except just, hey, skeletons are icky, why don't you go smash a few of them up?
You're simply leaving this card in as a quick way to get your hands on a shield.
That is completely fair. We'll go ahead and give Mr. Lionel our bread again. Mr. Lionel taps the table with his staff and some plump cakes appear in front of you. Phrasing, game. Phrasing. Remember, boy, when someone asks whether you'd like cake or pie, you tell them you want cake and pie. And he gives us more food. 3 food, very good. And then he steals some of that food and runs away. Fair enough.
Were you hoping this was the end? No. Another floor awaits. Good. Now all you need.
So the jack is inevitably going to be right by the dealer's hands. Another shop. You know what? I'm not feeling all that generous towards like weird soul-searching memory capitalism, but I'd kind of like a helmet before we fight this boss, so let's dive on in. The explorer's helmet. which doesn't do anything. The Desperate Measures, which is a much stronger mace, but would cost almost all of our gold. It's also blessed, though. Nah.
Few select these sorts of weapons because nobody ever anticipates being in peril. Such misplaced confidence is usually their downfall.
Oh, sir, I constantly assume I'm in peril. See, though, there's also a chance that if we do one of those other encounters that we'll go ahead and get the Desperate Measures. So, yeah, I'm gonna hold off. We don't need any of this terribly badly. I will go ahead and... Oh. That's right, Mr. Lionel didn't give us another. So, in other words, the dealer's saying you should always assume they mean pie vel cake, or well cake, rather than pie ot cake, or pie siwe cake. Unfortunately, I'm not terribly dexterous in Latin. I know, like, some basic, like, I think they would call it, Latin Vulgate, but that's about it. Oh, an ambush! Yay!
What do you think would happen with a card called Ambush, eh?
Oh, guys, this is great. So this means we get to fight a pretty straightforward encounter, rough them up, and take all their stuff. Apparently we're being robbed, like, at the gates of hell or something? Oh, we must have lived an interesting life. Oh, don't you love that, like, 5th grader shield? There we go. Remarkably flexible little guy, isn't he? Oh, well is inclusive, or ought is exclusive, and Seaway is like another identity thing. I gotcha. I never for a second expected that my streams would teach anybody anything, even if I was just a vector for somebody else's knowledge, but there you go. Let's see. Oh, I see. We can kill this guy and get more stuff. Okay, let's not just totally bungle this. Which we did, of course. So they took the stuff from us. I've got to get refamiliarized with reading the cards as they're shuffled around. In the sequel, there's several different games of chance, and the cards are actually used more, I want to say kind of infrequently, so it's taking me a little bit of time to get back into the rhythm. I do apologize for that.
I like this demon. He lies as often as he tells the truth.
And now it's time for the Devil's Choice
There's
card.
a token in it for you if you win.
A cloaked devil appears in your path. I'm here to test your strength, so-called hero. Choose your foe. Dust or skulls? So, since we've got a mace and that great shield, I'm going to pick the 2 of skulls. You're no mighty hero.
Skeletons.
I'll let you live with your choice. Well, my options were 2 of skulls or a 2 of dust, which is, according to the game at least, no stronger. Alright. Bring it on. I love the way they run. Like, they are not very good at this whole combat thing, but man are they enthusiastic about it. Few have suffered a more dignified death than having their own crotch slam into their chest as their head rolls into a pit of lava, but more, guys. Excellent, the devil cries. You have passed my cunning test. Have some treasure. Perhaps next time our paths cross, I'll kill you myself. So we get the token, and we get some gain. For now, this is totally beneficial for us. It won't be later on, but now we get to draw 3 equipment cards and keep our favorite. Explorer's Helmet isn't going to do anything for us since we're on the last floor, so let's go ahead and take the medium armor that makes us move ever so slightly slower, but also will allow us to take far less damage from enemies' blows.
Armor protects you from damage. The best armor, of course, does so much more.
Here we go. We will gain, in this case, an extra 15 points of health that will immediately or largely be filled. Not all of them, apparently. In chat, well, I was talking about game mechanics theory earlier, that's teaching. I guess so. Yeah, it's, my discussions of such material tend to be really kind of surface level, but I guess. Oh, and the Winding Trail. It's another combat encounter, meaning more loot. Oh, we're fighting these guys, just 2 bandits. I've already taken on 3, thank you very much. Guys, just afford me these little moments of braggadocio, because in a couple hours when they're sending like 7, 8, 12 enemies at me at a time, I'm gonna want to think back on this stream and say, hey, at least I was in the zone for a small period of time. And it looks like they're attacking me in the middle of the Pixar film Tangled this time. Okay.
This is what I was looking for. You show some aptitude for the game. Perhaps this will not be as boring as I thought. I did not realize you were such a fearsome adversary. I will bear that in mind.
Alright, a spell that I won't use, but there it is.
To use in combat, but it takes time to ready them.
Says, hit him with the frying pan. I wish there were, like, joke weapons you could unlock, like just a giant fish or something, but I don't know that there are. Maybe? Maybe? I don't know. And here we go. The Jack of Skulls.
Dead. Of all the players in the game, these are the most dangerous in the world, yet in no natural form. A wrongness, an error, cheating.
Okay, so I'm gonna push back a little bit on the statement that the undead are the most, like, challenging or the most dangerous enemies in this game. That is a complete and total farce. The third major suit we're going to run into in a little bit, in my opinion, is constituted, or is constructed of the most dangerous and infuriating enemies in the entire game. There's also the lizards we won't meet for quite some time, but they're more dangerous than the undead. This tenacious undead is unusually difficult to lay to rest. In addition to sheer strength, this skeleton has the power to revive recently defeated skeletons in its close vicinity. And that's it, basically. It's going to spawn with quite a bit of support. I want to say a couple melee skeletons and a couple ranged soldiers, who I think in the case of the skeletons, they look like unusually modern, like either musketeers or even like 19th century riflemen. And they're even more fragile than the standard variant, of course. And the goal here is just going to be managing them, especially the ranged ones, while taking down the Jack.
Win this and claim my token.
Now, I've got so much health, it's practically impossible that we're going to lose here, so the goal is to look really, really impressive. Oh, good question. What game have I been playing the most of in quarantine? Gosh, I don't know. I've been playing a game, finished it just last night, called Judgment, which is a spin-off of the critically acclaimed Yakuza series of action RPGs. I'll explain more momentarily. Oh.
You would do better to avoid them. Are you agile enough?
I'll use this opportunity to talk about it really quickly. It is one of Japan's most popular series. I would be tempted to describe it as Japanese GTA, but that's not really fair, because Yakuza and its spin-offs tend to be extremely story-focused and have at least the central plots, a more mature and serious tone than any Grand Theft Auto game would. Just imagine a pretty solid, action movie crime thriller plot combined with over-the-top martial arts, and you've got an idea of what you're in for with those games. I may stream one coming up in a bit. But as we can see right now, we're just being told how to activate a magic spell. This one drops gold every time we strike an enemy. It's not worth it because this is the end of the match, or the end of the map. So let's do this, giving priority to those weird riflemen. Now the Jack is reviving them. Oh, he actually got me. Well done. Oh, wait, perhaps I should strike him with the shield instead, eh? Or not. So enemies with shields can block as well. So we can disrupt him. And he's down. There we go. Not too bad. That is our second member of the court banished back to the cabinet. Only took one hit. Combo could have been a bit better, but not too bad.
Well done indeed. But you have roused the dead in their dusty tombs, and even I cannot say what will come of it.
So
Now our wager becomes more interesting. Will the tools you've earned suffice to address the challenges I pose? That is the question, is it not?
Considering what just went down in that crypt, I would assume so, sir. As you see, we earned a ton of tokens there, many of which you probably won't even notice us earning in the first place, because we kinda didn't. See, as I said, this game received a ton of largely free DLC after its release, and several of these DLC updates added special quest lines, more in-depth stories that are revealed and explored one card at a time, and so that's what most of these colored tokens represent. The Murder at Sea DLC, which involves a hunt for a mammoth kraken. The Song of the White Minotaur DLC. This one I don't entirely remember. It's obviously looks like a mage influence questline, but not entirely sure. The Goblin King's Halls DLC. The Underworld DLC questline. For helping the captain of the guards at the start of the chapter, we receive a pair of maces. They're superior, in every way, I believe, to both the axe and the sword, so we'll want to throw them in there. For diving into the river, we receive a special ring, the Ring of Survival. Situationally useful, I think. For surviving the Devil's Choice, we receive the Devil's Wager, which is, I believe, just a more high-stakes version of the same challenge. And for defeating the Jack of Bones, or Skulls, we receive the Crucible, one of my favorite cards in the entire game, the Queen of Dust, or the Bandit Queen, our next challenge, the Helpful Priest, and the Desert Storm. No relation. As a reward for defeating the Skeleton Jack, we also receive a new helm, a spell, I can't exactly recall what that one does, the Angel's Wing circlet that I think allows us to move much faster, and the Frostfang sword.
Shall we deal again?
And as you can see, our deck has grown quite a bit already.
Another round, and our game truly begins.
On to the third chapter, the Queen of Dust. The Bandit Queen was taken by slavers as a child and raised in the desert. Over the years, she has bribed and murdered her way to her current position as second in command of the Desert Thieves, proving herself capable of ruthless cunning. She's also, I want to say, the most difficult of the three Dust bosses. The King of Dust is actually not much tougher than the Jack, but she can be a little tricky. Here we see another one, and I believe the last of the game's major mechanics to be introduced, the curses. These are special stipulations that'll vary by chapter that almost always will necessitate that we play the game a little bit differently. Because at its core, the gameplay loop is really pretty simple, right? You want to make sure your health stays high, you want to replace inferior equipment with superior equipment or situationally relevant equipment, you want to make sure you have plenty of food, and stock up on gold to top off the other resources as necessary. But see, with curses, they're able to change this around and incentivize you to prioritize one resource over others. In this case, if we have a lot of gold, we're also going to move much more slowly in combat. And, in addition, the dealer's challenge deck this time around is going to consist of, well, its usual elements, but also some additional gold gain cards, meaning that any random loot we have has a higher than usual chance of containing substantial amounts of gold. It's a pretty basic challenge, but a solid introduction, I think.
She did not collapse when the Empire did. No, she took up arms, organized her people, and vowed that in a country where death had gathered, she would be the one dealing it.
So we're going to lay out our deck here. Now right away we can see a bit of a problem. They've already thrown in all of the DLC quest lines all at once. Many of these I don't believe will give us the kind of, the specific kind of resources we would want. So, I'm going to leave two of them in. The first card in the, I think it was, they said the Betrayal at Sea DLC or something like that. The Kraken DLC, I'll call it, is locked in. So we're kind of stuck there, but, why don't we temporarily toss everything, sorry Mr. Lionel, but the White Council. This one I'm not terribly familiar with, right? Because that's something a smart person would do. And we'll throw in the Desert Storm and the Devil's Wager just because they have tokens. As well as the Ambush, more gold. Alright, oh, no, our equipment. We definitely want the Frostfang, it's a brilliant sword. And these, So the Desperate Measures, that's good. I don't really want the Chains of Rage. So maybe replace it with an additional mace? Or no. No. An additional suit of medium armor. Because that defense buff is actually going to be really important moving forward. So, as we're now probably close to an hour into the stream itself, how's everybody doing? Is this enjoyable? Everybody having fun? Anything I could do on this end to improve your viewing experience as we head into our third major chapter here?
Play for the cup, the first of my symbols.
More fun than a barrel of monkeys. Well, thank you very much, and I would certainly hope so. That
To spice up the game.
That doesn't actually
In
sound
addition to the
very
pain
fun at
of
all.
eggs, there are now blessings and curses. Choose your steps carefully.
Remarkably unsanitary and perhaps kind of dangerous, but not fun. Alright. First card, it's a new one. It's the Landlocked Lover, the start of the Kraken DLC.
Token if you succeed.
The door to the Landlocked Lover opens with a creak, breaking the silence like a thunderclap in a tomb. The proprietor greets you. Welcome, traveler. Before I can treat you with our hospitality, I must ask you a very important question. Have you seen, heard, or, God forbid, smelled a kraken? I'll ask, what is a kraken? The landlord stares at you in disbelief. He proceeds to rant and rave for nearly an hour about the dangers, claws, feeding patterns, and scents of the kraken. After which, you learn that his name is Carlo, and in years past he sailed the seas as a captain. He now owns this inn and stays as far away from the sea as possible. After giving you some time to enjoy the warmth and some stale bread, Carlo approaches you. I've heard rumors of boats going missing from the small village port of Norwich. No survivors, no witnesses. Norwich port is run by bandits, thieves, and smugglers. There's no way to know what's happening there. Perhaps you could have a look around and find out more. I would go, of course, but I have this place to look after. Carlo gestures to the empty, damp-ridden flea hole that he calls home. And just like that, we have earned the token.
It is yours.
So I guess in the next chapter we'll be heading off to Knowledge. And it's the canyon once more, which has been locked in to our deck for the time being. Let's see if we can't mess this up. Okay. Every time. How is this every time? It's always on the third one. So we lose 15 health, no big deal. And it's totally worth it, because we get, I believe, the strongest weapon currently available to us in the Desperate Measures. Yeah, I'll take that pain.
One more step down, and we may see the end of this, or another set of stairs.
Mr. Lionel again, this is great. He can give us a shield, hopefully. Just a standard shield this time, but I'll take it. Oh yeah, and as long as we have food, every time we move from one card to another, we'll gain a little bit of health back.
This game is still only beginning. New rules, new tools, new abilities. We have far to go as yet.
So you may have noticed earlier the dealer mentioned that we're playing for his cup this time around, and his wager has been placed on the pedestal to his right. Each of these symbols will alter the way the game is played, usually in the dealer's favor, but it'll also give us new tools to use at the start of each chapter. Alright, just bandits. I can deal with this. They're out for revenge for the Jack of Dust. Just 3 of them. We can handle this. Once our combo meter reaches a certain point and the little bluish-green bars, or blue bars, at the bottom of the screen turn red, we'll enter kind of a combat fury state, and we'll be able to move over great distances to square up with foes, and usually knock them off their feet in a single hit. Just allows you, once you build up a nice little rhythm, to take your foes down really, really quickly, as long as you're efficient. Among the bodies, you find a scrap of parchment with a rough description of you, plus the offer of reward from the King of Dust. And we got food, which is really good here, because on this map in particular, we want anything but gold as a reward. Oh, and here's the helpful priest.
Gods and eternal damnations. I have no truck with any of it.
You meet a wandering priest who greets you in a friendly manner. For a small share of your provisions, I will bless you in the name of the old gods. We're gonna go ahead and give him half of our food, leaving us with only 7, in the hopes that we'll eventually find some more. Because not only will this earn us a token, I believe, but it's also going to give us a couple benefits. Well, at least a small benefit, no matter what. That was easy to follow. He speaks in the language of the old religion for several minutes. Several minutes? Okay. I've received blessings before, and it usually should only take a few seconds, but I guess we're going hardcore this time around. Well, it was a huge success. And then gently touches your forehead. It is done. So we get to draw 2 blessing cards. This is awesome, guys, because blessings in this game are the inverse of curses, rather. And for every blessing we receive, we'll get some kind of pretty substantial buff to, well, our entire gameplay experience for the duration of that chapter. In this case, whenever we use an artifact, or those spells...
Never removed. Unless you die, of course. Then you're back where you began, as always.
And it should be noted that they don't carry over between chapters, much like everything else. Whenever we use a magic spell, so an artifact, there is a 30% chance of immediately reducing its cooldown time by 80%. That'd be pretty good if I had cause to use them right now. And then
Useful.
this is actually pretty useful for literally any map but this one. At the start of each combat, an enemy's going to be highlighted, and if we kill it before any other creature in that encounter, then it will drop 5 gold in like a little baggie that we can collect. I'm all for like a little dime bag of gold, but I don't think it's going to be useful here. It's the maiden once again,
Take consumed food, but you will also heal.
and this time we're going to ask for supplies. This bread will sustain you for many days. Oh, hell yeah! Well, 10 food? That's amazing! 10 and then 5. Okay, folks, we are good on food. We are full up. There we go. I am very pleased with that result. And it's, I want to say, the last or the second to last type of shop we're going to be encountering. This little cleric stand. Oh. So real quick, I just want to show you what these do, because as the game draws on, this becomes, I want to say, probably the most useful type of shop we can find. Because not only can you buy certain blessings here, which are almost always very expensive, but you can pay for healing, buy food as always, and even pay a certain stipend, a tremendous one usually, not this high, because Moneybags was placed on us by the chapter, but a pretty hefty sum to remove curses that are placed upon you. Usually, it's always a good sign to see Call for the Priest. And instead of stairs, this time we're going to hitchhike our way into the desert. You found a friendly trader willing to let you ride on his wagon. You've discovered the exit to this area.
You are close on her trail, and more confident than I had imagined. Perhaps you will play beyond this mark, and we will see your true mettle.
Here's hoping. Another new card. Oh, a rockfall. Oh no.
A terrifying walk to get to the Queen.
While journeying near the coast, you hear a rumble overhead. Falling rocks force you to take cover. Ooh.
A choice. Select your desire.
Oh man, my luck is just terrible. So 2 pain cards. Just 5 health. And 10, so not bad. Oh, great. They also stole from us. Oh, but guys, this is good. This time we actually lost a bunch of gold, meaning we're going to be less encumbered. Traveling healer. Basically just call for the priest again. Don't need it. Oh, the Dead King's Hall. Brilliant. This is one of my favorites.
If it were not for greed. Then who would play at this game?
So, I think moving forward, anytime we see a game of chance, I'm going to open the floor and ask you guys which card I should choose if I don't just absolutely know for certain where the most favorable results are, because I am just not getting this as quickly as I had hoped to. But this is going to be pretty simple. We just have to fight off 2 monsters. 5 of dust. And we're going to try to incapacitate some of them before the fight. What are we thinking, guys? Where's one of those huge success cards, if you were watching? I'm thinking this one. I'm thinking it's 2. Somebody says 3. Going with 3. And I actually would have had it. Oh, man. No big deal, though. Our dust buddies are just going to fight us instead of... I think if we had got this right, we would have knocked out the 2 of dust, which isn't a big deal here. I don't think this is the last game of chance associated with this particular trial, though, so be ready. We're going to have another chance.
Now we begin.
Now, as you can see, there's also, it looks like, arrow traps on the wall.
Against you. Beware of my traps.
And those traps are making delicious, delicious boiled minced meat of the dust bandits. Music's just a little too epic for this particular action, I think. And completely incapacitated with a glancing blow to, like, the side of the torso. Oh no. Oh no, we just go ahead and loot it. This is not what I was thinking of then. Oh, so we get to pick. What do we want? What do we want? Probably the medium armor, but... The Frost Fang. Each hit slows our target down, and we can press the L1 button to shoot a cone of ice. Oh, I don't know. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Actually... Yeah, let's go ahead and give it a try. It doesn't do as much damage as Desperate Measures, but I'm pretty sure it's faster, and it'll slow our enemies. Which, for the dust, is going to be kind of important. And no gold, that's awesome. Oh dear. Real quick, in the chat, somebody says, I have used Frostfang in the past and liked it. Yeah, at the start of the stream, I said I've played this game on another file, near to completion beforehand, and I'm a huge fan. I typically like any type of weapons or gear that can debilitate or debuff my enemies, as opposed to necessarily making me stronger. That's how I play most games, really. And if I recall, it's pretty good. So the White Council. As dusk settles, you arrive at a small village known as Lesser Dimsgate. The locals are gathered at a shabby-looking inn. Something must be done, shouts a voice raised in anger. They all took our gold and food, one peasant wails. Will nobody stand up to them? Since I get stuff for doing it, yes, definitely, happy to. They went that way not an hour ago. You easily catch up with the band of ruffians. They seem overly confident and are in no rush. As you approach, the one who seems to be their leader notices you. Kill him, he commands, gesturing towards you. He looks like a troublemaker. And it's just these jobbers again. So the early game in Hand of Fate, the first one anyway, involves beating on a whole lot of bandits. In the second game, they introduce different enemy types and like different suits to you much earlier on, and in greater breadth. So we're back in Fantasyland. Let's go ahead and, You know what? For shirtless men in a, like, very kind of mild autumnal forest, they sure took being frozen alive well, didn't they? Oh! And it whiffed. Heading out now, Mr. Fiddlescruffs. Alright, thank you so much for joining in. There's going to be a VOD posted later to my YouTube channel, so if you're super duper bored and want to watch a bit more, feel free to. You gather the stolen supplies and return them to the villagers, saying, "Those bandits will trouble you no longer." "Oh, they weren't bandits," the child explains. "They worked for the White Council. It was our turn to give tribute."
Well done.
So the card's token is now yours, and we're going to investigate further in future. And another rockfall,
Again, the
great.
stones tumble upon you.
How do I do this every time? Permanent injury, so we're going to lose health. 20 health permanently, not great.
I am sorry.
And a third rockfall, yay!
Or a trap.
Okay, let's see if I can't riddle this out. Just a regular failure, hell, I'll take it. So the good news is, despite my horrible, horrible luck, we have actually managed to lose all of our gold.
The novelty must wear thin on subsequent travels.
Just a couple skeletons this time around. This shouldn't be, well, tough at all, really, because we're also wearing, or we've also been equipped. Oh no, we don't have the mace anymore. Whoopsie. Still should be pretty basic. There we go. So I may be terrible at games of chance, absolutely, like, horrid at them, but I'm pretty solid at the combat in this game, so that's kind of balancing things out for us right now. Oh no, oh no. There we go. Got it. So we get to loot 3 items, including better armor, definitely taking that. Food, great. And just 3 gold. That's fine. That gold shouldn't impair us whatsoever for our fight with the Queen of Dust.
Noble causes turn to rotten enterprise. You may win this battle and send the Queen to her rightful end. Yet, what have you gained in the process?
This Desert Queen is more lethal in battle and harder to kill than a regular bandit. Her blades are sharp, and she's frequently protected by a powerful crossbow. And yeah, that is exactly what makes her so difficult as a boss. So in addition to being fairly quick and having the same type of unblockable attacks as the earlier bosses, and of course having, you know, standard backup from the Dust Boys, she's going to spawn in basically a repeater crossbow turret that's both pretty durable and is going to keep a bead on us throughout the entire fight until we destroy it. And as I said, it's kind of tanky. So our first priority is going to be destroying the crossbow. And hopefully Frostfang's ability to freeze enemies will help us a bit in managing the crowd.
Again, a token is at stake.
We found the Queen of Dust. Let's do this. This is for dropping all those rocks on my ass. So it's just a 2 of dust backing her up. but she's got the crossbow. Now we can deflect the crossbow's bolts, I believe. Like so. Oh, got that like it was nobody's business, hey. Oh. Yeah, she's got some crazy range compared to your standard enemies. Ooh. 1, 2, 3, 4. This should be pretty straightforward now. Oh, got her! Nice! And that, friends, is going to be our third major victory of the evening. Already a quarter of the way through the dealer's court, but as you could tell, based on the relative difficulty and length of that mission, and my incredible luck with Games of Chance, this is going to get tougher and tougher and longer as we go on.
She fought well and bravely, which is all I expect from my pawns and players.
So, we've earned our first major trophy from the dealer, the Goblet. Now, as I said, every time we earn one of his 4 trophies, the game changes pretty radically. So let's just go down the list of the different mechanics that are being introduced now. So my counterattacks do more damage, which is great, because we're going to be encountering enemies that have more and more counterable attacks and also attack more frequently. Our stun, like the little shield bash, stuns enemies for longer, which is great. We now have a better starting kit. I think we may actually begin with a shield now, though I could be wrong. Bandits and skeletons are both a bit stronger. I think that means they just hit harder. They're not necessarily more durable. And bandits now have deflectable throwing knives. So again, as long as we have a shield, as you saw with the crossbow bolt, we can counter ranged attacks, most ranged attacks, just like any other. There are some exceptions, though, things like the skeleton, like rifleman's bullets, and I think magical attacks later on. You can't deflect them.
I think that meant you'd take forever to make a decision, mind. You have earned the first of the symbols of my power and passed the first gate. There is no turning back now. Previously I was merciful, but now I cannot be. It is begun. I crafted each of these cards over the course of years. You have taken them from me in mere moments.
So, if you couldn't tell, the dealer is a being of tremendous, metaphysical power, and as we get closer and closer to earning, that wish, that special ability he's going to reward us with if we manage to make it through his gauntlet, we're taking more and more of his power and, his control over this realm away. So he may be playing with us as a, mildly maleficent trickster god would at this point, but as we take away more and more of his servants, his abilities, his treasures, he's going to get increasingly agitated with us, and that means he's going to start playing for keeps. Let's see, we have the next chapter in the Kraken DLC. For dealing with the priest, we receive an additional health gain card, a special ring, and another encounter with a priest. For exploring the Dead King's Hall, we get a treasure chest, a game of chance, I believe. For helping the people of Lesser Dimsgate, we receive the next chapter of the White Council, which is locked in to our deck. For defeating the Bandit Queen, we receive new encounters. Oh, Christ. The Jack of Plague, we're gonna talk about that in just a minute. Asleep in the Forest, a Field of Poppies, and the Battle at Brooktop. All pretty interesting cards, I think. As a reward for defeating the Bandit Queen, we also get new equipment. The Fleet Cuffs, Armor of Cold, and the huge hammer, all of which are great items, I believe.
Come. Play again.
Alright folks, give me just a minute. I'm going to take a little, maybe 5-minute break and get myself a drink, and we'll be right back with maybe 2 more chapters of Hand of Fate before we call it for the evening. Since this is my first stream back, I kind of wanted to take it easy, you know, and we'll be almost halfway through the Dealer's Court at that point, which I think is a solid cutoff point. Alright. Sorry about that, folks. Had to take a call really quick. You know, it's an amazing thing, the digital office, just because nobody can go anywhere or do anything in reality. That does not mean you cannot work in theory. Hope the dealers kept everybody company. We are now ready to proceed on to the fourth member of the court, getting us, wow, a third of the way through already. And
What it takes to defeat the rats.
no, honestly, no, I don't. You know that third suit I mentioned earlier? The one that just kicks my ass and is probably the most dangerous in the entire game? It's time to meet them. The Ratmen, or the Plague. Apt name, I would say. Real quick, I think it's kind of cool. You can see, since we won the goblet from the dealer, it's now over on our side of the table with the cabinet. So the Ratmen are about 5 times as difficult as either the Dust or the Skulls. I mean, as you guys have seen, neither is that challenging in direct combat, as they, aside from the presence of unblockable shots from riflemen on the Skull in the Skull faction, they don't do a whole lot. They're like standard, you know, thugs in a Batman Arkham game. The rats function just a little bit differently, and they have one mechanic in particular that makes them very, very dangerous. They've probably killed me more than any other type, or every other type of enemy in the game combined. This is gonna be an interesting one, y'all. Here is a beast who hates your kind, damn straight, and has grown fat and evil with that hatred. The Jack of Plague will kill you and suck the marrow from your bones. So these are not like your friendly or like eccentric little comedic relief ratmen from like standard high fantasy fiction. These are basically the Skaven with lower tech. So here we've got like a couple basic challenge cards, combat encounters, things like that, but a special curse, twice the fail. Every time we fail, we're going to lose gold. Great. And you know how great my luck has been with these random chance, I shouldn't say random chance, but games of chance. Oh, this is gonna hurt, y'all.
Ah, the rats. They have swarmed up from the dark places beneath the realms of humanity and now squat amongst your cities and feast and freak and hunt and ride.
Yeah, that sounds about right. One thing to be aware of regarding the rats, in particular, is that they tend, I want to say compared to the other factions, to come in suitably large numbers. So whenever you deal with rats, you're gonna be dealing with quite a few rats. I guess all that's fine. If we go over here, we have to keep the White Council. The White Council and maybe the next section of the Kraken DLC? Yeah, maybe we should work through 2 DLC quest lines at a time to make sure we keep enough regular cards in here to ensure that we get all of the resources that we're going to need. Alright. Now, also, hold on. Sorry. I'm going to see if I can't find our loadout. Yeah, now we begin with a shield. Hell yeah. Thanks to earning the goblet, of course. So we don't have to worry about not being able to block standard attacks from this point on, I want to say. Alright, let's give this our all.
Our Lord of Plague does like to rub your nose in misfortune.
And if you'll notice, since we overcame the first set of 3 trials, it looks like the hall in which we're conducting the game has become a little bit clearer. We can see more of it. Alright, let's begin. It's the maiden again. Right on, let's ask for a blessing. By whatever strength my people yet hold, may you be protected on your journey. Ooh, right on. We inflict triple damage against stunned foes.
Balance that next time.
The elders of our kind often say, okay, yeah. And the Twisted Canyon again, a lot of old favorites reappearing here. Oh, come on, come on, come on. Hey, there we go. And what weapon do we get this time? The mace. Alright, it's probably the least spectacular weapon we could have drawn, but still an improvement over the sword. And Mr. Lionel, so they're kitting us out on the front end. Right on. Let's give him that bread. And he just automatically moves us to the exit. That's fine.
I'm sure you'll leave this one in time. You do not seem to have the temperament for friends, even in the animal kingdom.
So, it's going to become clear throughout the dealer's commentary that whoever we are, we've led both an adventurous and kind of a disreputable life. Or, again, lives. The implication is we were not a fantastic and are not a fantastic person. We're hungry for experience and power and riches.
Each of these cards is crafted from your memories and built from your experience. I created them, but only in the abstract. It is the importance you place on them that makes them real.
Huh, there's actually a pretty in-depth lesson on epistemology in there, but I won't get into that. This is a casual stream. It's the priest again.
To watch them theorize, to attempt to discern the very likeness of the gods down to their toes.
Let's go ahead and get some more blessings. Blessings never hurt.
Choose from these options.
Oh, just a regular success, but we'll take it. Any hit on the player during combat has a chance to poison the attacker. Oh, that's gonna be delicious. The Traveling Jeweler. I guess we can go ahead and sell our axe for just a few gold dollars. Yeah, 4 gold dollars, I'll take it. And as you can see, the prices in a jeweler shop tend to be pretty high, but the Ring of Survival we can afford. After every third combat, we receive 20 health. Don't really need that yet. Next time we come across a shop, we may want to buy some food, but we're hanging in there. Oh, something new. Asleep in the forest.
Spirits roaming the darkness. With the struggles, the boundaries are weaker than they've ever been.
While sleeping in the forest, you're jolted awake by a voice calling your name. You see a vaguely human-shaped ghost rushing towards you. You are quick to your feet, weapon already in hand. The ghost stops abruptly, hand signaling that it means no harm. The voice is weak and distant. Have you forgotten me already? Has this place already corrupted you so? I'm going to lower my weapon. I should not be here. I fear his servants already know where I am. For that brief moment, the ghost's pale eyes feel achingly familiar. Please come home soon. We blink and the ghost is gone. At our feet is a bag of food. Hey! Ghost coming in strong. The dealer draws us a food gain card, and the token is now ours. 3 food. Very respectable. I'll take it. And we get the token. To, I suppose, continue the quest line. And the Dead King's Hall get a lot of familiar cards.
I'm not sure the dead fighting back makes this any more dignified.
Oh, okay, so this is cool. You notice those little pips in the upper right and lower left-hand corner of each card? The 2 red little blips? Those signify the 2 upgrades which the bandits received after we obtained the goblet. So that would be increased strength and the throwing knife attack. Each suit will receive 3 upgrades in this fashion, and they don't all receive the same upgrades, of course. We'll try this again. Oh, man. No big deal, we can take him. Easily. Gotta get out of the way of the arrow slit really quick. There we go. Made pretty short work of him, aside from a knife we caught to the back at very close range. I think our work here is done. Oh, but we did lose gold, of course, due to that failure. Another shield that we don't need. Some more food, that's great. I don't know if you would want to eat a ton of food you found in the middle of a sealed up tomb, but maybe the bandits brought it with them? Fingers crossed. Alright, what we got?
Brings you to play the game. Ha, I know you will not tell me. Like all the rest, you are silent.
I'd love to get some more tokens, but call for the priest, we don't need it right now, nor do we have the gold for it. Here we go. The battle at Brooktop.
These places are rife with power.
A light draws you to a nearby hilltop. Oh, wait. Where you see a warlock disappear in a cloud of sulfur, leaving behind his summoned minions. Draw 2 monster cards. Alright, so bandits and skeletons. No big deal, we can take them all. We're gonna want to prioritize the bandits here, I think, because the skeletons are gonna go down really quickly to our mace. And the skeletons shouldn't have any kind of ranged attack. And they don't. There's no riflemen with them. Let's do it. There we go. Don't know why they're trying to throw knives at me from point blank, but suit yourself. And a flawless performance. There we go, not bad. That should earn us the token, I believe. Just a simple victory here. After the battle, we search the bodies for loot, earning more food, and some much-needed gold. As you climb down the other side of the hill, you spy what looks like the remains of an ancient temple on another nearby hilltop. This card's token is now yours. I take it that's the temple we're seeing on the card's artwork. Alright, nothing they have is going to be worth it at this point. Something new? Oh, the rat men. Time for our first encounter with our friends. Right, so rat men. Just a quick overview of them before we begin. As I said, they come in large numbers, especially as the game goes on. They probably won't hear. They're rather quick, as you would expect from anthropomorphic rats. Many of them, this is the kicker, have poisoned weapons, whether they be melee or ranged weapons, and if they strike you, then your health is going to be draining at a pretty decent clip for a long-ass time. And they tend to attack very frequently and in quick succession. They're a lot trickier to manage than the dust or the skulls at every single stage. The only trade-off for that is they tend to be even more fragile, I want to say, especially their ranged soldiers. So we're going to be fighting a 4 of plague. If these are just the basic little rat grunts, they may not even have poison weapons. Maybe it's just the ranged soldiers that have poison weapons, or they get the poison as an upgrade? I don't know. But these guys shouldn't be too bad. Just 4 of them, small arena.
Plagued by name and plagued by nature, the rats leave behind a deadly toxin.
Yes, they do, buddy. Yes, they do. So we're just gonna rough up some bargain basement Skaven, and oh no, their bodies also leave behind little pools of toxin or clouds of poisonous gas. That's lovely. I guess they're either so filthy that they start decaying instantly, or they just carry a phenomenal amount of diseases. Oh, good. We retrieve some food that we plan on eating from their disease-laden corpses. Joy. That's good. That complies with social distancing.
These trails wind, and our goals wind with them. My voice and these words draw us closer to the inevitable conclusion.
So it's another combat encounter with the dealer drawing 1 monster card. And yeah, okay, so we've done this before. 5 bandits. We can take them. As you can tell, they're a little bit tougher with the upgrades. I think they even move a bit faster, maybe, but still nothing we can't handle. They always pick the most beautiful locations to ambush me in. Lots of respect to the dust for that. I don't think they really get how a throwing knife is supposed to be used, or in what context, or at what distance, but God love them, they're trying their best. Alright. Let's see what loot we got today. Ooh. One of my favorite cards. Oh, guys, we gotta go Huge Hammer. We got to go Huge Hammer.
Sometimes form follows function, and vice versa. In this case, it's called a huge hammer. You take a guess.
I think it's even stronger than the Desperate Measures. I want to say so. Yes, it is.
Prepare for bad times.
And with every consecutive hit we chain together, so as our combo grows and grows, the Huge Hammer gets even stronger with every single blow. And in addition to that, it has an area of effect blast attack that we can perform in much the same way as the Frost Fang's little frontal cone. This thing is just a world-class shit-wrecker, I believe, and is going to be a ton of fun to use. Just a ton of fun, and perfect for the rats. And we gain even more food. Yeah. Yeah, right on.
Roaming ever forward, hunting for the truth.
My path forwards will take me into the forest. Yeah, let's head ever closer to the rat's den.
No. A fortune teller is at their most base and despicable when they begin to believe their own lies. Of course, I am different. My powers are genuine.
As we can believe, due to the fact that he's constantly levitating objects and conjuring up little worlds from our own memories and summoning monsters and all that. What do we have here? Oh no, the angry mob.
So quick to anger. That's what makes them a mob, really.
As we approach the small town of Witchburn, an angry mob of peasants marches forth and confronts you. You know, at least when it comes to playing traditional tropes straight, this game is incredibly self-aware of what it's doing. The rat men have eaten all our food. We're starving. We demand food. I'll go ahead and give them half my food. We're almost to the end. Haven't you any more? This is something, but we've got to ration it out to everyone. Well, sorry. Can't help it, really. Ah, the treasure chest. Here we go.
Treasure chest. What more iconic?
Now, this is a game of chance. so we're probably gonna botch it, but let's just see how we do. Of course. Every time. Every single time. Man, without fail, I'm awful at this.
Nasty.
Let's see if we can't screw this up. Are you kidding me? Well, that was a total waste of my time, and lost us all of our gold. Yay. Oh no.
Trust a devil or don't? I wouldn't.
Okay, so we need a perfect victory here, otherwise we will die. But if we can take down the rats, flawless victory, we will win the devil's wager. I'm gonna go for it. Oh, well, he gave us a bit more health than the absolute minimum, but still, it's us against 4 plague men. All we have to do is steer clear of their corpses once they start spewing out that gas, and we should be fine. Oh no, they've got ranged troops. Oh no! Crap! Crap! They killed me. That's the power of the ranged rats, folks. Oh no. Well, that means we've got to start over, but we do get to keep the tokens we earned. So if you clear a card, you do get to keep its
You
token.
may try again. Your weapon has powers, yet you haven't used them. And now you're dead.
For showing the ghost we are merciful, we receive a sleep at the end. Good. And for exploring Brooktop, we get another gold card and the altar, which is the next card in that quest line. Well, I'm gonna give it one more try tonight, and hopefully I'll have better luck than I did with those last couple cards.
And fate will be decided. You face one of the fiercest of the rat men. I would wish you luck, but we play with fate.
There we go. I'm actually gonna keep Devil's Wager in there. Because of all my positive traits, learning from my mistakes has never been among them.
At their heart, all games are about power, are they not? The acquiring of power, the retaining of power, and most importantly, the use of power.
Let's see what blessing we get this time. At the beginning of every battle, the old gods throw down thunder upon one of our enemies. Meaning one of them will be nearly incapacitated to begin with. It's the old Twisted Canyon gimmick. That one was easy. We were actually able to track the cards, yay. And the weapon here is the Desperate Measures. Definitely taking that. So already we are up to a much better start than we were last time around. That's the stairs, but
If you dare.
oops, I didn't mean to take the stairs, but
You
alright.
understand what it is we do now? Or did I rush you?
And it's the mob again.
Pushing you into the plague before you were.
Go ahead.
Once the rat men begin
And it's not enough, don't
to the
care.
edge of the town, anger follows shortly behind.
What do we have here? Oh, the Smuggler's Wharf.
As you plunder the secrets of your memories, you'll gain new cards. Some you'll wish you'd left untouched.
Norwich Port is little more than wooden planks sticking out over water. It's a den of iniquity. Visitors and inquiries obviously not welcome. Spend your time getting acquainted with the workings of the wharf, looking for avenues to gain information. I found 3 ways I might find out about the missing ships. Steal some logs, bribe a worker, or help a captain drown his sorrows. So my luck ain't doing too hot. I think I'm gonna drink with the captain. In what passes for a bar in the shanty town, you find a ship's captain drowning her sorrows. They must be frightful sorrows, because she's drowning them in Dulcian brandy. You pull up a stool next to her, and while inquiring about her misfortune, attempt to find out what she may know about the missing boats. You can tell the captain knows something, but she's not parting with it yet. However, she seems pleased to have company. Yeah, I'll drink some more. The captain is merry and regales you with stories of her adventures upon the high seas, but nothing regarding the recent boat disappearances. Feeling the effects of the powerful Dulcian brandy, but still have your wits about you. I'll throw down another one. The captain only reveals one thing, Highbinder, and will say nothing more on the matter. You plan to head back to Carlo with the landlocked lubber and see what you can do with the information you've gleaned. The card's token is now yours. So we were able to get through, relatively unscathed. Oh, these guys again. This time I'm going to have to try to avoid them.
Without form or direction. A choice. Select your desire.
Oh, come on! 5 pain cards, really. I have never had a run of luck this bad in one of the Hand of Fate games. And since we have no gold, every single space now, we're going to take damage from starvation.
Think about the way we play this.
Bandit attack, thank God.
You continue to die, yet we reset the board each time. One has to wonder how it is possible to truly lose.
Oh, there would be the old gods helping out. Oh, please, God, give us some food. Yay! That'll do in a pinch.
Your provisions are running low. Can you press on?
I may try to sell our starting weapon and buy just a couple pieces of food. I've got to get better with the games of chance, though, guys. I've failed almost every single one tonight. Not only does it not make for good viewing, it makes for terrible luck in the game. So for all our gold, we can get 1 piece of food. I'm gonna take it for now. We just had the ill fortune of running into 2 of the games, or the round's 3 possible angry mobs in a row. Ratmen? Okay, I can take them on. For a plague? Since we're not playing with the Devil's Wager, we should be able to take care of these guys pretty quickly. Is that it? Yep, there we go. Yeah, the melee rats, without their upgrades, I think, aren't too bad, aside from the little clouds of disease they emit after death. It's really those ranged ones you've got to watch out for, because they are relentless. 3 more food? Again, we'll take it. Ah, the local peasant.
Hungry mouths. War leads
Oh no.
to nothing else.
While crossing a forest clearing, you meet a peasant woman. In exchange for some food, I'll tell you everything I know about these lands. I can only give her... Oh, man. I can only really give her Up to... I'll be charitable. I'll give her 2 food. Oh, fuck. It's another mob.
Will you step in and earn their ire?
Oh, no, 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 no. So, the game's a chance. I distinctly recall being... I lost the desperate measures. Great. I distinctly recall being much easier in Hand of Fate, too.
Press on.
Like, you're able to track the cards, and you can in this game as well. I'm just terrible at it, I guess. Man, I'm sorry, guys. It's really, really poor performance on my part tonight. Well, these are just bandits, and even though we're back to our terrible default axe, we can still take them down no problem. There we go. Hopefully we get some kind of supplies from that. Some gold, that's something.
Hush. Can you hear the way his claws scratch the tiles?
Okay, we'll get some food by taking down the rats.
The rats will find you, no matter where you go to ground.
As you see, they can throw javelins in extremely quick succession, these little bastards.
I always admire a man who can turn an enemy's force against them.
Means you could take them down quickly, but god damn do they do a lot of damage. Three food and no more mobs to take it from us, thankfully. Asleep at the inn. Here we go.
A scoundrel would go through a sleeping man's belongings.
While sleeping at an inn, we jolt awake to find a bandit rifling through our belongings. We're quick to our feet, weapon already in hand. The bandit laughs, clearly drunk. Easy there, princess. Spare an apple, would you? There's a good lad. He stands unsteadily. Oh, he's just going to try to fight us, or steal our food and gold. Well, regardless of what happens, I need to fight him to keep the food. And 5 more bandits. We got this. Oh, that Wrath of the Old Gods is one of the best blessings in the entire game, let me tell you what. There we go. And dying in a very inelegant position. These dealt with, you accidentally wipe your brow with a hand slick with the blood that has run down your weapon. You turn to find a wash basin and find yourself once again in the presence of the ghost from the forest. Its eyes, so familiar, so real, compared to its shifting body, look at you in fear. Oh, are you kidding me? So the ghost was upset and we did not get the token or anything because we didn't let someone rob us. Okay, well, now we know in future. charity. Dude, I have nothing to offer you.
Mendicant. Will humanity ever move beyond poverty, religion, and charity?
I'll go ahead and give him all my food. And probably get nothing in return. Oh, fuck. Well, we got a blessing.
Crucial for healing.
That'll do.
If you travel without food, your strength will not be restored between encounters. You'll also begin to starve. It seems you'll learn that soon enough, though.
Man, I really don't know. I really do not know. Oh, give me a minute. Hey! There we go. All is silent as we move forward.
Let us stake a token on their...
And now we actually have to try to open the chest. There we go. There we go. After a mighty heave, the lock gives way and the spoils are yours. 4 gain cards, so a lot of gold. The Helm of Reflection, that creates a small explosion when we reflect certain attacks. And there he is. Didn't get as many cards as we'd like this go-round, but...
And pestilence, and blood, and teeth.
Faster and stronger than normal ratmen, the Jack of Plague inspires all vermin around him to strike faster the more damage he sustains. So that means we're going to want to clear out his backup before we take him on directly.
I will happily wager on the outcome. I do not think you have what it takes.
Honestly, I'm not sure that I do at this point either, pal, but we're going to give it our best. So 4 Ratmen as his backup, we're going to want to focus on them, as I said. And here he is, the Jack of Plague. We definitely do not want these guys to start moving even faster. Oh, dear Lord. Ah, that got him. Now it's just me and the Jack. Oh, it's a 4-hit combo, my bad. Oh, but he doesn't have a ton of health, so despite my terrible luck with luck this evening, I and my bargain basement knockoff Juggernaut helm have sealed the day.
The queens and kings of the rat kind have lost a child here today.
Thus concludes our first extremely stressful experience with the Ratmen. So we've got the next installment of the Kraken DLC, as well as, for plundering a locked treasure chest, another armory plunder card, and a new ring, the Fool's Gold. For defeating the Ratman Jack, we receive Berserker Armor, the Scorching Zeal Flaming Hammer, very cool looking, the Culling the Ratmen quest, our next champion, the King of Dust, so the Bandit King is already going to be taken off of the board, the extremely tricky Devil's Carnival Game of Chance, and the Embertown Hero card. We also receive Ratmen Hunting ×3 that will be sealed into the deck until further notice.
I do not want to just sit here. Look at the cards you have earned. Now we have enough to begin a real game.
Well, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, the dealer's gonna have to be kept waiting for a while, as I'm going to go ahead and call it for this evening. Just wanted to do a quick little stream to kind of regain my Twitch legs after a very long absence. And so until tomorrow, I think. I'll probably try to be back around 6 p.m. with a couple more rounds of Hand of Fate for you. This is a game that's mercifully short compared to a lot of the things I would want to play on this channel. So we can probably clear it out playing a few hours a night by the end of the week, I'd say. So I do hope you'll join me for that. Thank you so much to everybody who joined us, if you're watching this live, or via video on demand over at the Overanalyst YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us. Please feel free to share this channel and the streams with any friends who may be interested, if it's, you know, something you would care to do. I'd always appreciate getting more folks in to interact and chat with. Maybe to help me with these damn games of chance as well. But until next time, thank you all so much for indulging me in my first return to Twitch in some time. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful evening, and please take care of yourselves in this incredibly trying time. Bye-bye.